What's going on YouTube? So of all the game-changing Genesis products they have introduced, the GV70 is probably the most influential of them all.
Offering German looks and performance for a more affordable price, it's no wonder you already see so many of these on the road.
But there's an impending refresh coming up next year. So is now the time to buy, or should you wait for that updated model? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so like always, we want to start off with a quick spec dump. So under the hood, you'll find two different engines. This is the 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine making 375 horsepower. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic with standard all-wheel drive, and our combined fuel economy is 20 mpg.
Now later on, we're going to be taking out this GV70 for a spin. We'll be getting things like our signature sound level reading, and we're also going to be talking about resale value as well as reliability data, which is a new thing we're adding to our reviews.
But first, let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the beautiful exterior design as well as the interior. Now before we get into the exterior, I do want to take a second to just kind of explain the model years. So you might have seen some images of the refreshed GV70. That's because for 2025 model year, it is going to be on sale in Korea. However, here in the US, we will continue on with the current version and we will get the updated one in 2026. Genesis hasn't confirmed exactly what changes we're going to get here in North America, but we would anticipate they're going to be very similar to what they have in Korea. So with that being said, let's talk about this exterior look. Continues to look really fantastic in our opinions. We love the overall aesthetic, especially on a sport model. You've got the darkened grille up here in the front with that signature Genesis crest design. The lower fascia is also going to be quite aggressive as well. And for 2026, we're not anticipating any big changes to this overall look. Taking a look at the headlights, signature quad beam LEDs on board with our double daytime running light and turn signal indicators. Now as we move around to the back, of course, that same sporty and athletic stance does continue.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. And for the refresh, we're not expecting it to change a lot in terms of the overall design. Now, as far as some of those design elements, we do have a wiper right here. And then Drew's hopping inside because we need to check out these taillights and see if all the elements are LED. We have an LED brake light portion, LED turn signal indicator. Our reverse light is integrated way down here in the bumper. That's also LED as well. So I really like all of the lighting. And we also have this really nice brake light up here at the top. Now, as far as this diffuser area, this is a really aggressive look for the GV70. I love the way it looks. We have the circle exhaust outlets because we have a sport version of this vehicle. If you get the regular version, you're going to instead have a more squared off look, but I really love the exhaust shape. As far as your tow rating, it's 3,500 pounds.
Now moving on to our wheels, we do have 19-inch alloy options and 21-inch alloys if you choose a Sport Prestige model. This has that signature kind of golf ball appearance that's inside of the spokes themselves. They're very distinct. I do like this design, but I would also anticipate that there'll be new wheel designs next year. Coming up here to our mirrors, of course, we are going to have all of the features. So we have blind spot monitoring, we have heating, we have power folding, and we also have auto dimming, which by the way is on both the driver and passenger side.
Now here at the side of the GV70, you will notice that beautiful rear drive proportion, and as far as overall vehicle length, it's about 185 inches long. Now when it comes to your safety systems, I do want to point out that all GV70s are going to come with all of your safety systems, so I'm very happy to tell you that. That's even going to include things like Highway Drive Assist 2.0, which was added last year. But guys, there is an even more lovely cabin on the inside, so let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now it's almost time to get into the interior, but before we do that, I do want to mention your new exterior color options for 2025. So we have Store Green. You also have a matte version of that. You have Matterhorn white matte paint, and we also have a gray matte paint now available for this 2025 model year. Now, let's get inside. Of course, we do have a smart entry system. This is your typical Genesis key fob. It's not that newest version, but it's still a very nice key fob. You'll notice the mirrors do fold out as you approach the vehicle, and you just grab behind the handle there, and that will unlock the door. Now, taking a look inside the interior, of course, we have a very nice look, especially on the Sport Advanced trim level. So this is the model, actually. It's going to give you the full quilted Nappa leather seats. So as you can see, this entire seat is Nappa leather. It's a beautiful design. I love the quilting. It goes all the way down to the very bottom here. We have a ton of adjustment as well, and we've got several different colors you can choose between, including a red color option, which is certainly a nice choice. If you get the Sport Prestige, you're going to add some suede accents inside of the seats themselves. Now, let's talk about the adjustments. Down below, most of the models will come with 12-way power with 4-way lumbar, but this one does come with 16-way power with adjustable bolsters, a thigh extension, and if you choose that Sport Prestige model, you even get a massage function. Plus, of course, you're going to find the memory seats located there on the door trim. But let's go ahead and get inside. And now that we're inside, we'll go through the rest of the cabin materials. Start out with our door trim. We do have the full leather covering that goes all through here. It is also going to be a stitched leather material across the top part of the door trim. And by the way, I do want to point out, you can see it kind of the best over here on the door trim, but it is in other areas of the cabin as well. We have this cool layered trim that comes on this version. This is actually backlit, so inside of this, the ambient lights will glow in a certain pattern, so it's a really, really neat idea. Now across the top part, we do have the leather covering again, and through the center section, and all along the bottom part as well, and then we've got more of that trim along the driver's side right here. So really just a beautifully executed cabin. I'm not anticipating any real material improvements for the new model, because what are they going to do? It's already a very unique space. All right, let's go ahead and fire it up with our push-button start. Now that we've fired it up, let's get started with some of the individual features. We'll take a look at our gauge cluster. This is a half digital, half analog setup. It does change depending on which drive mode you are in. And this is one element we are anticipating is definitely going to be changed. So with this upcoming refresh, Genesis is going to move to a giant single-piece display, which will encompass the infotainment system and the gauge cluster all in one piece, just like in the GV80 that we showed you guys on the channel recently. So if you like that setup better, that's going to be a distinct reason to wait for the refresh model. Nevertheless, you do still have the nice features such as the blind spot camera system, and we also have a large head-up display up top. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we have a very nice full leather steering wheel, including our airbag cover. It will be getting a new design next year, but once again, super nice. Does have power tilt and telescoping. Most trim levels are also going to come with heating as well. Now, as we turn over here to interior storage, let's take a look at what we get inside. Well, look at that. We actually have donuts inside. That's because we like to do the car Confections donut test and see the volume of this center console measured in donuts. Well, the answer is 10, so we actually are getting very close to having the full dozen. So that's a good result for this segment. Also, nice felt lining all around the entire thing. Up in front of that, we have our 2 cup holders. Then we've got a small storage cubby up here under that lid. This is also your wireless phone charging pad, so you just slide your phone in there and you have some additional connections inside. On this floating panel, we have our shifter. This is a beautiful metal and glass shifter. Just twist to D for drive. You have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, twist to R for reverse. When we go into reverse, our upper tier trims are going to come with this 360 camera. Great resolution on board, active directory, front and rear parking sensors, plus click that button. We go into our 3D view so we can spin all around the vehicle like so. Then just press that P right in the middle for park. We also have an electronic parking brake, of course, and this whole region here is going to be somewhat redesigned next year. Now as we continue up to our climate control panel, This is a kind of partially digital, partially analog setup. It's going to be standard dual zone, available 3-zone climate. We've got the dual zone on today's example. This is touch capacitive for your heated and ventilated seat controls. And you do get haptic feedback when you touch this. This is going to shift downward a little bit for the next generation model. Now as we shift down to this area, we'll go ahead and give a sample to the Lexicon audio system, which is on most models. Yeah, overall sound quality of this system remains excellent. Certainly fills up the cabin very nicely and has a good balanced sound. Plus, I really like the knurled metal controls for the volume. Alright, now let's shift our attention up here to our main infotainment system. So this is a 14.5-inch display. You can use the control knob down here, or you can also touch it and use it as a touch screen. Now, once again, as I was saying earlier, next year we will be shifting to a gigantic 27-inch display. This is going to be an OLED display. So just like with the GV80 we saw, it's absolutely phenomenal to look at. The graphics are just fantastic and super crisp. Now, some outlets were reporting that for 2025 in the US, that Genesis was going to be adding wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay to this system natively. But we are sitting here in a 2025 model, and it does not have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You will still have to connect via a USB connection, so you can see that when you press phone projection there, even though I'm paired to the system, it does say use an approved USB cable. So we're anticipating that they will be, of course, adding wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay next year when they update to that brand new display with the brand new software. Now, carrying on, we have auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. Up at the very top, we have a beautiful suede headliner, which goes all the way across everything, including over the sunshade cover. And that reminds me, I'll just go ahead and open up our panoramic sunroof. As you can see, very large piece of glass, and the front panel does open up.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into the rear seat area for this GV70. This is a really nice place to spend time. That continues for 2025. We're going to have about 37 inches of legroom and a good headroom figure as well. I mean, there's plenty of space for someone of my size. Speaking of someone who is 5'9", like myself, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and let's see how much knee room we have. We have about 6 inches of knee room, which is a pretty solid figure. I can also slide my feet up underneath the seat. So overall, I'm very comfortable, and I do want to point out, check this out. We can recline the seats a very good distance, and this headrest really just hits me in just the right spot. It feels very comfortable. Now, as far as vents here in the center, those, of course, are going to be included on most GV70s. Now, you will notice down here, this is just a blank hole, and that's because on other more expensive versions, you would have climate controls as well as heated rear seat controls. On this 3.5 twin-turbo advanced model, we do not have either of those things, so it's just a blank hole. We also do have 2 USB ports. These are Type A variety. I would expect for the refresh we'll move to Type C, and we also have a household-style outlet. Now, as you can see, we do have a fold-down center armrest. It is Stanley approved, so we can fit our Stanley water bottle in there. However, when it comes to the door trim, the bottle storage is not big enough for a Stanley. The rest of the materials are exactly the same as the front, though. Leather from top to bottom. That same ambient lighting. I really love the overall shape of the door. And walking up to the tailgate area, we do have a hands-free power tailgate as standard equipment. And let's see how much space we have back here. So, of course, this doesn't change this year, so we're sitting at about 29 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, which they do fold 60-40 split folding with convenient handles located here on the side, we will get a maximum of around 57 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Now that's a lot of space, as you can see, and the seats do fold completely flat with the loading floor, so I do really like that. That's a very class competitive figure as well. It's actually a little bit larger than some of those German rivals. Here at Car Confections, one of the things we like to do is measure things, and we want to see how much length there is from behind a 5'8" driving position to the rear of the cargo area. We're looking at exactly 6 feet or 72 inches of overall length. From behind the second row, about 37 inches of length. Let's see how wide it opens. We're sitting at 40 inches of width and about 28 inches of height. So overall, very practical vehicle for the most part. And if we lift up the cargo floor, you will notice that we have a spare tire integrated underneath of all these different levels of plastic and flooring. You will find that spare tire. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Genesis GV70. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Very nice. So, of course, this is a very powerful machine. We talked about that at the spec dump. So we've got the 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine, 375 horsepower on board with this model. And that is more than enough to make this thing scoot.
It is just really, really smooth, refined, and fast. I think that's the three things that I would use to describe this powertrain setup. It really will shock you at how fast you're going, because the engine is so smooth. It just is effortless power and acceleration. Now, as far as the torque figure, you're looking at 391 pound-feet of torque. So that is nearly 400 pound-feet of torque. The 0 to 60 is sitting at around 5.4 seconds as tested by Motor Trend. So it's a very, very quick SUV. Like I was mentioning, it's not just an illusion. It is actually very, very fast. Now, as far as the base engine setup, we also mentioned that exists. That is the 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder. That's going to have 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. So that's by no stretch of the imagination a weak engine option. However, this is definitely going to be the choice that you want if you want that maximum just luxurious feel and refinement, as well as fastest performance.
Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, we have an 8-speed automatic transmission. Nice and smooth performance, also very responsive as well. This obviously is, a pretty sporty SUV, and when you put your foot down, you do get an immediate response. Definitely have like a wall of torque, which will really push you back in the seat.
Yeah, now you do also have all-wheel drive as standard equipment, and as far as your fuel economy is concerned, that does mean that you only have two different fuel economy versions. So you have 24 mpg combined with the 2.5 liter model. If you choose the 3.5 liter twin turbo model like what we have today, that comes in at 20 miles a gallon combined. But this is a luxury SUV after all, so let's go ahead and get the thing that I'm sure you're probably waiting on, the sound level reading going 55. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it to fan speed 1. The rear climate is off, and we're going 55 miles per hour. .8 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading for this 25 GV70. That's a very, very good reading. I don't have to sit here and guess, though, because I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we've posted all of the vehicles that we've tested on this channel, which certainly is a lot, and we've done a lot of this vehicle's rivals, so let's see how it compares. And as far as how that does compare to rivals, that does place it slightly louder than the Mercedes GLC and BMW X3. However, it is going to be one of the quietest options that we've sampled in this segment. It's a very, very quiet vehicle. We tested that out extensively, actually, in the electrified version of this GV70, and it was one of the quietest vehicles that we've ever tested. So I think that really just does show you that Genesis has put a lot of effort in making this feel like a luxury experience when you get behind the wheel, and that quietness is part of that. Now, I also want to talk about your ride quality for this GV70. Now, we've been just kind of cruising along here on this drive, and I've been paying attention to how it handles certain bumps and imperfections in the road. The thing I will point out about this vehicle's ride quality is that you will feel some intrusion, especially if you select these largest 21-inch alloy wheels. I think the overall ride quality is good, but you're definitely going to feel some road imperfections with these large wheels on the outside. Now, I do want to point out that you do have adaptive dampers as standard equipment if you choose the 3.5-liter twin-turbo model. So that, of course, does allow you to change your ride quality depending on, what drive mode you're in. We were in comfort mode for the ride quality discussion, and now we've kicked it back into sport mode, so we can see how that changes things.
Yeah, in terms of the ride, I don't think it makes a tremendous difference, but it definitely changes the throttle response, the transmission mapping, the steering. It's really firmed up, and overall, we haven't really discussed it too much yet, but, this is a vehicle designed with things like, X3, M40i in mind, and this is a very sporty SUV. You can really fling this around corners. It has a nice balanced feel, not too much body roll at all. Again, the steering, very responsive and quite heavy when you're in the sport mode as well. And I'm just reminded of kind of the breadth of the lineup for the GV70, just going from spending a lot of time with the electrified version, which is super soft, super comfortable, where this one is going to be a lot sportier, so you really have a lot of choices that run the entire spectrum. Sport mode also kind of enhances that sound a little bit as well.
I will say, though, it is not nearly as good sounding as an X3 M40. This engine doesn't have quite as much character as the B58, so if you're looking for that type of sound and the, just kind of, theatrics of the exhaust, you're not going to find that really here with the GV70. Alrighty, and as far as the last things to discuss here, we have our slam dunk and airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk?
So based on the theme of what we've been talking about today, I think the slam dunk is just that even though this model has been on sale for a few years, it still overall just feels so fresh and so luxurious. They really just did a great job of, I think, making this model really stand out from the competition, and that just continues to make it stand out from the competition, basically.
Yeah. On the airball side of things, what I'm going to say is just some of the technology in here. It is a very nice cabin, and the technology, honestly, is not horrible. However, people do expect wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Those are things we will get with the refreshed model coming up. The gauge cluster, I think, looks a little bit on the cheaper side this year, so I'm looking forward to those updates. However, I think it's still a very pleasant place to spend time overall. And I do also want to point out that your warranty is going to be really good for a luxury vehicle. 5-year, 60,000-mile basic, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain. You do also get 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Now let's talk about pricing for the GV70. So this year we're going to start around $45,000 for the base model. Of course, you can escalate up to a pretty expensive price point depending on what trim level you choose. As you can see today, we have chosen the 3.5T Sport Advanced. This is the 2025 model year, plus 1350 destination. We're sitting at $66,050. Now, if you'd like to buy a Genesis GV70 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now, let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, we're going to talk about resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Genesis GV70's potential resale value. After 5 years, we think it'll be worth around 42% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, about 12.4%. Now, it's worth noting that it is under the industry average for resale value percentages. However, it is very much in line with the German rivals such as BMW, Mercedes, and Audi when it comes to those resale value percentages.
Now, we've also done the same for potential reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that is more useful to you guys. In this respect, Genesis is rated slightly above the industry average.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is certainly a very big decision, and you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the 2025 Genesis GV70. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get more car reviews like this, you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We do a lot of car reviews and have a lot of fun, and I'm sure you won't want to miss out. So do yourself a favor, subscribe down below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.